never apologize for questions. That's a beautiful one. And I'm sure one that a lot of people are thinking. So co-op, the program itself is designed to make the idea of landing a work term or make landing a work term very simple. As simple as something like this can be. So on our team, so there's about 23 people on the site co-op team. There's a whole division, we can say, that's called the employer development team. So 6 to 7 individuals who work full-time to create and maintain relationships with employers who can provide paid relevant work experiences for an undergraduate student. So what these employer development team members do is they will help facilitate those employers posting co-op jobs, pre-vetted co-op jobs on our job board, our co-op job board. The co-op job board becomes available to you once you're in the co-op program. So that's one way you can do it. Our ratio is about posting 3 jobs for every 1 student. We really want to see success. Success can be measured in a lot of metrics, but students often see success about landing a work term. So that's why we try to provide as many opportunities and a lot of coaching to help you when you see these opportunities, when you get excited about these opportunities, that you can land these opportunities. So our job board is one of them, and that's all what we populate. If you're walking downtown Halifax, you're walking downtown Ontario, downtown Ontario, whoop, that's a sentence, but you're walking somewhere and something catches your eye, or you're listening to the radio and someone is talking about an organization that's really exciting to you, you would love to do a co-op work term there, we can support you in having informational interviews or supporting that specific employer about jumping onto the co-op bandwagon, so to speak, and using the privileges that co-op students have, aka funding and enthusiasm and whatnot, to make that a co-op opportunity. So there's things that we show you, and if you express interest in another area, we'll help make those co-op opportunities possible. Professors are one of them. I know you mentioned professors. A lot of people do work terms with professors at Dalhousie or otherwise.
Great. Thank you so much. Liam, I saw that you had your hand up. Did you have another question?
Yeah. So I was wondering what kind of co-op opportunities are available for persons who are interested in chemistry and or biochemistry.
Liam, this is so neat. This morning, I actually called a woman in chemistry that I support who's working at Tesla, working with batteries. So chemistry is the neatest. So, well, you probably don't need any, I don't know, you need to make you believe it. But what I've found working with chemists over the years is that there's so many different applications to chemistry. Our whole world is chemistry. So with that, I've seen chemists work in areas like Tesla, pharmaceuticals, private, public. There's a lot of different primary research, quality control. There's a lot of areas that you can use your knowledge and your skills. And that's what kind of co-op helps you do. You have this array of choices and it helps you say, oh, myself, Liam, is interested in this area of chemistry. So very broad what chemists do. They also do things with public health, whether they're testing. A woman I spoke to recently who's in chemistry co-op is testing oysters to see if they carry a certain pathogen that we do not want to get. So that's another example, quality control. Biochemists, it's like you were planted, Liam, because I've had such great conversations with both groups of students like this week. One biochemistry student I talked to recently is this blew my mind, using spider web silk as a model for neurons. And in the brain. It got a lot more complicated than that, but they're doing cutting edge research supported by an NSERC funded lab. This one happened to be at Dalhousie. And so that's an example of what a biochemist does. Another biochemist I talked to semi-recently was studying mosquito-borne illnesses out of a huge public health, and excuse me for not remembering their name, but the organization's name, but out of Winnipeg, they do a lot of mosquito-borne illness work, and so they were supporting that. Another biochemist I've talked to works for a local startup called Immunovaccine that is actually working on some COVID-related top secret stuff, but presumably stuff that will help us and is obviously very important to current world events. So those are some examples. If you came to me and you showed interest in a different area, perhaps pharmaceuticals has your heart, or primary research, or science communication, I would support you in finding opportunities that would really tap into those interests.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, totally.
And it looks like we have, I think, another question from, was it Maurice? Yes. Maurice, did you want to ask another question?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
So it's kind of along the same lines as I think Liam, who was just talking, asked. Kind of what opportunities or co-op opportunities are there for psychology and neuroscience, if there are any? Because I haven't actually heard people talk about those.
Yeah, that is a program, a science program that we currently do not offer a co-op option for. Some students that are in neuroscience or psychology double major in a program that we do support. I just talked to a student yesterday that was double majoring in math and neuroscience because they want to model dreams mathematically. Incredible student. So if you double major in a program we do support, we can give you co-op options related to that. Even though psychology and neuroscience don't currently have a co-op option, they do a lot of undergraduate research, which will give you those skills that you can put on your resume and give you those connections that really enrich your degree. So not a co-op option, other work integrated learning options. If you choose to double major in a program we do support, we can get you in that co-op program.
Okay, thank you.
Totally.
Danielle, did you want to come on camera and ask your question? I'll give you a second here. If not, I can ask.
Yeah, sure. I'll use my mic.
Great.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes!
My question. My question is, can the co-op program also help you get connected to certification courses like a diver certification or like boating experience or stuff like that? Is there ways to help you get connected with those in the co-op?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's things that we as an office, all science students get, which includes WHMIS, which is a workplace hazardous material information system, which helps you be more employable. Where the real training and the real benefit comes from, in my experience, is when you're on the work term. So people, sorry, I'm losing my words a little bit here, but investment. People invest in their technologies, their space, but they also invest in their people. So lots of the times when you're on a work term, your employer will give you training that serves you in that work term and beyond. For example, a really common certification that a lot of marine biologists have is called a Med A3. It gives you proficiency or on if a boating accident happens, and it's an expensive training. It's a very marketable training for that reason, and a lot of students that join DFO, which is Fisheries and Oceans Canada, or other groups that spend a lot of time on the water, that training is provided through their co-op work term, and that lasts for many a year. The same thing happens with first aid and whatnot. Some students come into the program with that training, but a lot more leave the program with that training because of their employers. And a lot
Very
of
cool.
fish handling, if this is a marine biology angled question, which I'm picking up with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
diving and what, oh, nice,
Yeah.
Danielle, after my own heart. A lot of students leave with like fish handling certifications, and aquaculture is the fastest growing employer in Canada. So a lot of aquaculture related certifications.
Very cool.
And Danielle, I'm not sure if if you're a new student starting at Dalhousie in September.
Yes.
Oh, you are. Welcome.
Yeah.
Good to have you. And I know things are, they're looking a little differently this year, and for at least the next couple of terms. But Dal, through the Department of Biology and Marine Biology, we have a program called Seaside. That offers a lot of courses, like course-based learning in scientific diving. There's a lot of courses that we offer at the undergraduate level in the Faculty of Science that actually get you out on boats, get you out, in the water, touching things, doing the science. You can tell I'm not a scientist or have a scientific background, because saying things like doing the science. But we do offer a lot of course-based experiential learning opportunities too. Of course, co-op is such a fantastic way to gain that experience, but there are alternative, course-based opportunities as well. So take a look at the Seaside program. A lot of the programming in Seaside has been transitioned to an online learning environment this year. Obviously, we're all we're all moving through the motions here and trying to figure out how to do this whole virtual thing. But I know our faculty and instructors have been doing a lot of excellent work in moving some of these more experiential pieces online. So take a look there. It's an excellent program that we offer here in the faculty. Just making a plug. Yeah, awesome. And it sounds like we have a bit of a mix of returning students and first-year students here, which is always nice. And are there any other questions from the group right now? Feel free to put your hand up, come on camera and ask your question. I know Caitlin and I are both juggling dogs here who seem to be barking at things. So thanks everyone for your patience with our pups. Tanner, did you want to come on camera and ask?
I'll just unmute myself.
Yeah, perfect.
So my question is, for those programs that don't offer co-op, can you explain where we can go to in terms of finding experiential learning opportunities and the resources that we can access for those?
Yeah, I can talk to it. I'm sure Allison will have some stuff to add. But experiential learning comes from many different angles, Tanner, and some of them will come to you and some will be ones that you can seek out. So some examples of ones that come to you are through your courses. So lab-based courses or courses that have an experiential component, they're often highlighted in the syllabus. Keeping those syllabi and using those to inform your resume and cover letter are really important. So that's one. We also have a lot of other things in the Faculty of Science. Walking through the halls or walking through the virtual halls will show you that a lot of people are looking for undergraduate volunteers. So keeping your ears open with that. I always encourage people to approach their professors or approach individuals, whether it's upper year students, postdocs, whatnot, who are doing research that excites you or doing things that catch your ear, and asking the question. Your work with pygmy sperm whales just sounds really neat. How can I help? So that would be a more active stance. As a Dalhousie student, you have, I mentioned it a bit earlier, but I've been talking a lot, so no worries if you don't remember, but that My Career portal is very helpful. You can log in with your NetID and password, and there's also a lot of experiential learning or professional experiences offered through there. Lots of disciplines, and perhaps the one that you're going into, have actual experiential learning courses. So that's a course based on finding something that you like doing and doing it. USRAs are also a great thing. We can talk offline a little bit, Tanner, when I know a little bit about you and your story, but there's options everywhere. The best thing you can do is ask people. Allison, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think it's a really great question. And Tanner, what I put in the chat here is the link to the Faculty of Sciences page on undergraduate research opportunities. So Caitlin's already mentioned a few of them, but the faculty funds, well, through NSERC funding, a number of like summer research opportunities for students that, as the title implies, takes place over the summer. So, you know, I think the misconception is that because we're online and virtual, that a lot of this research is, you know, stopping or isn't happening anymore. We actually were able to assign all of our students who got summer research awards this year with a research project. So our faculty, our scholars in the Faculty of Science worked incredibly hard to make sure that, you know, everyone had an opportunity. And you know, like it might be that you had to adapt your research project a little bit, but I think we ended up having something like 85 summer students this year working on a number of research projects across the faculty. So that's just one example. Also on this link, where they're just in the drop-down menu on the side, there is a list of experiential learning courses that are offered, and I think it's broken down by program right now. So most, if not all, of our programs do offer experiential learning pieces. I think like some of the things like certificates that are offered through the Faculty of Science are also great ways to get, you know, a little bit of an extra credential. And I'll find the website there. Sorry, there's on these things, we're always just like putting tons of stuff in the chat. But if you haven't heard of certificates yet, they're kind of just like, it's just like an extra certification that you get that would be part of your transcript when you graduate. That would be, you know, a collection of courses sort of similar to a minor, but not quite. That would give you a little bit more, you know, extra certification in an area. So we do things like GIS mapping, and there's an animal behavior certificate, neuroimaging, all kinds of stuff. So a lot of it's class-based with experiential pieces, but it's just awesome to have like an extra certificate as part of your degree. So I would definitely plug those as well. So Tanner, does that answer your questions? I think always like approaching your professors if there's an area of research that you're really interested in, just to reach out to them and see like, hey, are you looking for volunteers or hiring any students to do research this term or the summer or whatever. It's always the first step is to reach out to your profs to see if they've got something going on.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Another question here from Liam, and is if the work terms are only in the summer. Oh, muted.
I did it again. I'm glad that was muted for that part because I might have said a word. Great question, Liam. The work terms are not only in the summer. Depending on your program, sequences do look different, but through the definition of co-op, the 3 co-op work terms must happen in at least 2 different seasons. So for example, sustainability students do 2 summers. This is from their standard sequence. So remember that if your story is different, that can change. But the standard for sustainability is having 2 summers and 1 winter. Other programs like biology, they'll do a summer, they'll do a winter, and they'll do a fall semester. These standard sequences are made in consultation with the co-op office and also with the faculty advisors that really know what your academic trajectory are in terms of when you need to be in class, when courses are offered. So the standard sequence is designed to have the most resistance-free journey to graduation. Students, I've seen one exception made in all my years where a student can do 3 summers, but we heavily discourage because part of what co-op is to kind of explore what your industry looks like. And in so many industries, seasonality is huge, especially in the sciences. So that's another benefit of doing things in different seasons.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the group right now? I know I have. Oh, Caitlin, did you want to?
Ha! Another Caitlin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, beautifully.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Yes, hi, fellow Caitlin. I just wanted to ask you a bit of clarification because I remember you mentioned earlier something about that if we find any opportunities outside of Dalhousie, that we can come towards you guys and ask for help with them. Would this apply for opportunities that are abroad as well, like not in Canada?
Yeah, great question. So yes, as much as, just to address the first part, so as much as our employer team has connections in so many places and they're pulling jobs and they have these great relationships, there's always a company that we haven't contacted before, or perhaps we need to reignite that relationship. And so sometimes when students come to us with those kind of opportunities, we always will support them in trying to make that happen. Students very often do work terms abroad, very often. During like our current COVID reality, things become a little harder just because we want to make sure Dalhousie University students are safe if they're traveling under the Dalhousie University banner. So things look a little different this summer, but in normal times, or times where we're not facing these hardships, students have gone around the world. Most recently, there was this wonderful woman that I was supporting that went to Scotland to study. She was a physics student and she was studying the body of salmon to see if their fusiform or smooth, beautiful, nature-created shape could be applied to a man-made vessel. So she went to Scotland. Another student I supported went to St. Lucia to study sperm whales. A lot of students I support go to Costa Rica to study turtles. People go to Tesla in California. Supported someone going to Twitter in California. Some students whose home country isn't Canada have connections in that area. So for example, a student I supported studied mangroves in Singapore and was able to have the added benefit of being able to spend some more time at home, which was important to them. So all in all, the world is your oyster. Of course, there's some hurdles that COVID has brought to the table, but under normal circumstances, then yes, international work terms are open. We can support you somewhat in getting visas and whatnot, but our international center is well equipped to help you with all that complicated stuff about getting your body and your mind and your work to another place.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, any other questions at this time? We have about 12 minutes left here in this session. Anyone have anything they'd like to ask? I know I have a question. So if no one has one ready to go right now, I'll ask. Sometimes we get questions from students about how co-op placements impact the time it takes to complete their degree. And I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, and if that's a myth or if it's something that can be sort of, yeah, just if you could address the sort of degree completion timelines and how co-op and experiential learning might impact that.
Totally. So science degrees are often marketed as a four-year degree, and that's the truth for many students. In my experience, most students, because they're doing fun things that will help them in their career, whether it's international study abroad, whether they're taking a reduced course load so they can volunteer in a special group, or their mind or body needs a semester off. For whatever reason, many students that I speak to do 5. That includes honors and whatnot. Co-op, as it's laid out, takes 4.5 years. So once you enter the co-op program, you're either on a work term or on an academic term, and it goes vice versa. So it sounds, well, it does sound like more than the 4 years that you often hear about, attributed to a 120-hour degree. But in actuality and statistically, I know a lot of Faculty of Science students take longer than 4 years. And that's something when you're thinking about co-op or you're thinking about your degree, it's important to have that internal conversation about what aspect is important for you. If doing work terms, if going abroad and doing all of this is very important, a huge value add to your degree, it might take you a little bit longer than you originally thought. Part of doing the sequences we do is to try not, co-op isn't meant to slow you down. I guess that was a roundabout answer. So 4.5 years is often what we say. Standard science degrees, people generally take 5, and in my lived experience, students in co-ops also generally take 5, but you can do it in 4.5.
Awesome, thank you. I know it wasn't asked in the chat, but it's something I find at events that a lot of students ask. Another question that I find we get a lot at events too is around like the compensation piece and paid co-ops. And how that works, I guess, if you wouldn't mind touching on that a little bit, and then we'll get to Liam's question here in the chat.
Yeah, totally. So you have value, your time has value, your experience has value, what you bring to an organization has value, which is why you need to be in a co-op program, you need to be compensated for your time and energy. So all students, once we go international, we talk a little bit more about stipends or other remuneration aspects, but in Canada, you must be paid for your work. And when someone's paying you, you're doing some real valuable work. With co-op, a lot of funding is available to employers. So an employer who might be wary or unable to hire people outside of the co-op program can have about 50% of a student's salary covered if they hire a co-op student. We say that at least students need to be paid minimum wage. I do our annual reports. On average, it's significantly higher than minimum wage. That's just our legal obligation. That's why we must have that cutoff. But the employer team very much encourages the employers to pay more, and they do. I'll see as students progress through their work terms that their salary will increase. And so that's another thing when you're thinking about co-op is the idea that you'll have more opportunities to earn some funds. It doesn't necessarily fit here, but I also like to say that co-op gives you a nice mental break from school. School is glorious, school is amazing, but sometimes it's nice to have a weekend. So yes, all co-op work terms have to be paid in Canada. Outside Canada, we work with the employer to either make sure you get paid or they'll cover your travel costs, room and board, or some other way.
Awesome, thank you. Question from Liam. Did you want to ask your question, Liam, or I'm happy to ask for you? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do international students have to get a special work permit or any kind of work permit in order to work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is a kind of work permit. It's called a co-op work permit. It's free, and our office provides you letters and instructions about how to get that co-op work permit. So that makes it so you can work in Canada and elsewhere. And I should also mention that co-op is still considered an academic semester. So if you have, whether it's visa requirements or scholarship requirements that make you need to be in school, co-op is still considered school. We have students start applying for their co-op work permits after they're admitted into the co-op program. So we have a person on staff that works exclusively with different agencies to make sure we know processing times. So we set students up for success about getting their free co-op work permits.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. Well, we have about 5 minutes left here. Does anyone have any final questions for Caitlin? Going once, twice. Okay, well, I don't think I'm seeing any other questions in the chat. If that's the case, then as Caitlin has said numerous times through this session, she makes herself available for our students, and would highly encourage you to reach out to set up some time. But I just wanted to thank Caitlin so much for an excellent drop-in session, for answering all these wonderful questions, and for all of you for attending today. Again, please reach out if you have any questions or would like to follow up further. There's a lot of websites and different resources that have been put in the chat, so I think you can access those after. And yeah, Caitlin, any parting thoughts or words you'd like to leave our group with today?
Well, I just think I want to reiterate how excited I am for all of you. It's really fun to talk to you now, selfishly, because I selfishly hope that in a year's time, in 2 years' time, we can look back at your first couple years at Dalhousie and just see the progression, see the opportunities you take advantage of. You're incredible, you're employable, and whatever you choose to do will be the perfect pathway for you. And if you need any support in finding your pathway or learning about the pathways, like Allison mentioned, please reach out. We're here for you. It's what we love to do, and you're important to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I did record this, although I forgot to press record until 25 minutes in. So my apologies for that, but this will be available online at dal.ca/science/hub. I'll put the link right in there. And yeah, thank you everyone again. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you in a few short weeks in September. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.